fiancée confessed to a friend that her ex was better and bigger in bed. Here's how I dealt with that devastating revelation. Imagine finding out by accident that the person you love and plan to marry never thought you were the best in bed. I overheard my fiancée telling a close friend that her ex was the best lover she ever had, partly because he was more well endowed. At first, I tried to brush it off, but the thought kept echoing in my mind. How do you cope with the idea that, no matter what you do, you'll never be enough? In this story, I'll take you through my struggle to overcome that heartbreaking revelation and the impact it had on our relationship. It all happened by chance. We had a group of friends over at our place, and as the night went on, everyone broke off into smaller groups. Some of us were in one room playing poker, while others were watching a Lord of the Rings marathon. I thought my fiancée was watching the movies, but she and one of her close friends were actually sitting in the kitchen, drinking coffee and chatting. At one point, we ran out of soda, so I headed to the kitchen to grab drinks and some snacks. As I was turning the corner, I heard my fiancée talking, and just before stepping fully into the room, I clearly heard her say, "Jason is great, but he'll never be the lover that Bill was." She followed it up with, "It's not fair to Jason, though Bill was really well endowed down there." At first, I thought about just turning around and pretending we had no more drinks or snacks, but instead I made some noise and walked in. Her friend saw me and gave her a look, clearly warning her I was there. She had no idea I had overheard anything. She stopped mid-conversation, smiled at me, and asked how I was doing and if I was having fun. I was this close to replying, as much fun as a not-so-well-endowed guy can have, but I said nothing. I just replied that I was fine and grabbed what I came for. The rest of the night, I pretended like everything was normal and eventually went to bed. Needless to say, it hit me hard. I mean really hard. I'd never been jealous or insecure about myself before that night. I couldn't sleep, and I ran through a whirlwind of emotions while lying there. First came anger, then humiliation, followed by deep sadness. And then more anger. Look, I get it, male ego sounds stupid to a lot of women and even to guys who are super confident. I probably would have agreed with that sentiment myself before that night. But once your ego takes a hit like that, it becomes a real issue. I tried to hide it and not let her see what I was feeling, but as the days went by, it got worse. I started avoiding her as much as I could. She noticed something was off but didn't say anything until she tried to be intimate with me a few days later. I shut her down completely. It wasn't even a conscious decision on my part. I had already told myself I'd try to get over it and move on. But in that moment, instead of feeling aroused or connected to her, I just felt deeply inadequate and ashamed. Nothing was happening, no matter how much we tried. She asked what was wrong, and I just said I was stressed from work. She didn't buy it and kept pressing. And there I was, naked in bed, humiliated, and emotionally wrecked. So I told her. I told her exactly what I had overheard. Well, that didn't go over well. First, she tried to deny that I'd heard her right. But I repeated, word for word, what she had said to her friend. Once she realized she couldn't deny it, she apologized and, to her credit, tried to hear me out and understand how I felt. Which, honestly, must have been a total turn-off for her, because I was a complete emotional mess. She told me how I was a better person, how I satisfied her, and that she didn't want anyone else. But all I could hear was that muffled voice from the Peanuts cartoons, like Charlie Brown's teacher. It just didn't register. It's been almost a month now, and I feel zero physical desire for her. None at all. She's starting to get frustrated with it too, but no matter what I've tried, I can't shake it. It's not like she said we were both great in bed or anything remotely balanced. She very clearly said he was far superior, and from what she said, it sounds like well-endowed means he was significantly larger than I am. Sure, I know I can do things with my hands, my mouth, whatever, but no matter what I do, I can't magically change my size. She refuses to talk about it now, saying that anything she says will just make things worse. That even if she says something positive, I won't believe it. And she's probably right. A little more backstory. He broke up with her, it wasn't mutual. He just ended things and shattered her heart. I know this because early in our relationship, she told me. She said she wasn't ready to take anyone seriously because her previous ex had left her and emotionally wrecked her. So this isn't one of those situations where I can say, well, she's with me because she wants to be. If he hadn't broken up with her, she never would have left him. Now, I have no idea if, after all these years, she would still leave me for him if he came back, but I don't think she would. I just don't know what to do anymore. I can feel myself emotionally withdrawing from the relationship. I know this sounds incredibly petty, but hearing the person you love say to someone else that she prefers being with another man, physically, is devastating. Her telling me how I have all these other great qualities only makes it worse. It's like she's listing things that might appeal to her and maybe other women, but being called a great provider or someone who'll make a wonderful husband just makes me feel worse. Like, what would happen if I lost my high-paying job? Or worse, if I got injured and couldn't earn more than state assistance, would she still support and care for me? Right now, it feels like I'm just a good friend she's allowed to have sex with. I know in my head that's not true, but in my heart, that's how it feels. Sorry this is so long, I don't even know what I'm asking for. I just feel completely lost. And if this goes on much longer, I think I may have to end our engagement. OP's post edits. First edit. Holy hell. I made this post last night, answered a few comments, and went to bed. I woke up this morning, went Christmas shopping to try and forget about all of this, and only just now logged back into Reddit. I haven't even begun reading the 7.7k comments on this post. I don't know what anyone has said yet, but thank you all for commenting regardless. I'm about to begin the monumental task of reading through them. Also, thank you for the gold and silver, kind strangers of the internet. Second edit. My God. I thought I'd finished reading most of it, got to the bottom of the page, and then it loaded another 5.5k comments. I'm stopping for the night, well, technically morning. I planned on replying to people individually, but there's just no way. I haven't even started looking at the DMs or the 20+ chat windows that popped up. There are some things I want to clarify because some assumptions being made aren't accurate. Yes, she was involved in what I'd paraphrase as drunken girl talk. In other words, she and her friend were drunk during the conversation. The weird thing is, neither of us drink. We don't even have alcohol in the house. About me being upset that she told her friend these things. Honestly, before I made this post, I wasn't even that mad about her telling the friend. I was, and still am, way more hurt by the fact that she feels that way. But now, after reading many of the replies, I'm kind of mad that she shared that with someone else at all. I would never say something about her to anyone that would put her down or make her feel less than. That I'm just an insecure, immature man who should grow up and do better. Well, the first part's probably true. I am insecure, especially now. But the last part? There's nothing I can do about that. No matter what I try, I'll always be 6.7 inches. Okay, fine, I rounded up half an inch to feel better. We talked about this, by the way, when she was trying to cheer me up. She told me I was already great at everything except for the one thing I can't control. No, I'm not going to do anything impulsive. It's already been a month, so it's not like this happened last week. But yes, I need to figure out what I'm going to do soon. It's not fair to either of us for me to just coast along, emotionally disconnected and no longer fully committed. Is she sorry because I hurt her? She said she's sorry she said it, but let's be honest, if I hadn't overheard, she wouldn't regret it. It is what it is. Still, I believe she is sorry. She's been kind of a wreck ever since I told her I heard what she said. She told me it's really been hurting her that I no longer want to be close to her. I don't know how much of that I fully believe, but at this point I don't know why she'd lie about it either. What I do know is that this whole thing completely ruined our Christmas spirit this year. Third edit. I'm an engineer, for those asking what I do for a living. She's a legal assistant. Fourth edit. Some people have asked about her relationship with the ex and how I know she was heartbroken. We met around 9 months after they broke up. I know he ended things to be with someone else. She says he never cheated on her, he just broke up so he could be with another woman. She approached me at a workshop and we started dating. On our fourth date, when things were starting to get physical, she broke down crying about her ex. Yeah, it was definitely weird holding someone while they cried over another guy, but I did it. We casually dated for a few more months. I never tried to push anything physical because it was obvious she wasn't over him. I kept things casual in my own mind too, because I didn't want to get too invested either. Then, after almost 2 months, she pulled me out of my car and into her apartment and started telling me how much she appreciated my patience, how stupid she felt for dragging things out, and that she was finally ready. That was our first night together. Within 3 months, she told me she loved me. So yeah, she was still hung up on her ex when we started dating. I just hoped, and believed, that she had moved on by now. First update. Everything came to a head last night. She simply asked if I didn't love her anymore, and all I could say was that a big part of me still did, but that what she said made another part of me stop loving her altogether. That started a much bigger conversation, and I won't bore you with all the details, but ultimately it boiled down to this: if I had overheard her saying that he was just better at something, more thoughtful, or capable of doing something I could work on, I would have listened. I would have tried anything she wanted me to improve any technique or idea she shared with me. But knowing I'd never measure up simply because of a physical trait? That's not something I felt I could overcome, at least not any time soon, or maybe ever. I was honest with her. If it had just been some random one-night thing, or some guy who just happened to be large, maybe I could get past it. But the fact that it was a man she was still deeply in love with when I met her and only slowly moved on from was more than I could bear. She kept trying to reassure me, saying I was better in every other way, and that I shouldn't throw away our whole life over one aspect. But I told her that, unfortunately, this aspect mattered to me. Not everything is equal, and honestly, it's a flaw in me that it matters as much as it does, but whether it's genetic or learned, I need to feel like I'm the best man for my wife. And she's made it clear I never will be. I did my best to be kind. I took all the blame and said I knew my thinking probably wasn't healthy, but it's who I am. By the way, I'm writing this like it was a clean conversation. It wasn't. There was a lot of crying. From both of us. This isn't a happy ending. It's not even a satisfying one. I'm completely wrecked by all of it. Everyone's Christmas is ruined. We had big family gatherings planned that we were going to together, and now we somehow have to explain to our families what happened. That alone is causing me massive stress because my parents loved her. And what the hell am I supposed to say is the reason we broke up? She didn't cheat. And if I say I feel like she's still emotionally attached to her ex, she'll obviously deny it and then tell the truth. This whole thing is screwed, no matter how we try to handle it. In the end, I feel like a huge failure. A failure as a man for not measuring up, and a failure because I couldn't just man up and get over it. She begged me to try couples counseling. At first, I said no, because, honestly, what would it change? We could talk through every detail, and maybe I could learn to see things differently, but at the end of the day, the woman I wanted to marry told one of her friends that, no matter what I do, I'll never be as good as her ex. I just can't imagine being okay with that 5 years from now. But because she genuinely seems heartbroken, I agreed to go. That doesn't mean I'll keep going, though. Today, I moved a lot of my stuff out. I'm staying with a coworker for a few days until I can get my own place. She's been with her sister all day. I feel like crap. Thank you to everyone who took the time to respond. I really did try to read everything, even if I didn't reply to many. The most ironic part of all this is that I still love her. A big part of me still wants to pick up the phone and beg her to take me back. OP's post-update edits, translated to English. First edit. Well, once again, I posted this and then stepped away for a while. I went with my friend to see Mortal Engines, then we grabbed dinner and talked for a long time. I only started reading responses a little while ago. It's going to take forever to get through everything, and again, I don't think I'll be able to reply to everyone individually because of the sheer number of posts and private messages. But thank you all for reading and responding. Second edit. I think I want to share something I brought up with her. During our long conversation, I tried to give her a scenario she could relate to. I know her well enough to understand that comparing body parts or bedroom skills doesn't impact her the way it does me. So I framed it like this. I said, imagine you walk in and overhear me talking to my friend Tim, and you hear me say, Jill's great, but she'll never understand or comfort me like Tiffany does. But it's not Jill's fault, Tiffany's just the smartest and most compassionate person I've ever met, and Jill just isn't that smart. Now, if she confronted me for saying something like that about her, and I replied, I love you for all your other qualities. No one makes a sandwich like you. And I think, long term, you won't judge me for my money. Would she feel hurt? At first, she tried to say that this was a completely different issue, but after we talked more, she eventually admitted that it would hurt her. She finally agreed it was about how each of us approaches and values love. She did admit it would hurt her feelings, but that she wouldn't break up with me over it. I replied that even in my imaginary scenario, which, by the way, I would never actually say out loud about someone I love, she could at least improve her education and learn to be more compassionate. Third edit. If anyone is still reading this, I want to add one last thing. People have been calling me a crybaby, and that's one of the nicer things I've been called, because I can't get over the fact that someone out there has a bigger dick than mine. I won't lie and pretend I'm okay with it, but I'm not stupid enough to think I have some kind of magic wand down there, either. I grew up believing what I now know is a lie, that women don't care about size. Some don't, but clearly, some do. And my ex is obviously one of those who did care. Even with that, in the end, maybe I could have gotten over it if it had just been presented as a fact. But hearing that no matter what I did, no matter how much I loved her or anything else, I would never be as good, that's what's haunted me ever since. Yes, size clearly plays a big part in this. But if I hadn't heard that I'd never be the best lover she's had, I think I might have been able to deal with it. Not deal with it completely, maybe, but at least it wouldn't have destroyed the relationship. Yes, I overvalue physical intimacy. Yes, it's extremely important to me. And honestly, I want to be desired just as much as I want to desire someone, if that makes any sense. I know that whoever I date in the future will probably have had someone who was bigger, better, or whatever. But I truly hope they're not still hung up on that years later. Final update, translated and improved. I wasn't planning on posting again, but I'm still getting daily DMs asking how things are going. I genuinely appreciate the kind words and concern. But just so anyone who still cares knows, it's over. I went to counseling with her 3 times and honestly tried to keep an open mind about it. But in the end, the obstacle was simply too big for me to get past. I even gave her the chance to take back what she said, or rephrase it, or, really, do whatever she wanted with it. But instead, she doubled down. I think by that point, she was just really frustrated, too. Neither of us is truly happy about this. It's been an absolute nightmare for me trying to avoid telling people and our families why we're no longer together. Of course, I tried the classic "it's none of your business" with some of them, but that went down in flames. Since I refused to explain, people just assumed she cheated and started spreading that around. I've had to do major damage control because of it. I've decided to continue therapy on my own because, honestly, this whole situation has really messed with my head. I have zero self-esteem left. I've only seen her once since we split, and it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. Now she's, understandably, in the anger phase. She's furious with me and called me every name you can think of, and even made up a few new ones. It's over. I tried going to counseling. And things only got worse.
Reddit Relics comment. It's truly heartbreaking to hear something like this, especially from someone you love and plan to spend the rest of your life with. The insecurity that comes from a situation like this is completely understandable, and trust, such a vital part of any relationship, can be deeply shaken. I believe communication is essential, but hearing something so raw and painful can be a blow that's incredibly hard to recover from. Still, it's important to remember that intimacy goes far beyond just the physical. Love, care, and emotional connection are just as important, if not more. In situations like this, the best approach is honest, open dialogue, and sometimes even professional help. And let's not forget, every one of us has insecurities, but it's our actions and how we deal with them that truly define who we are. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any future stories and reflections. Your support means the world to us and helps us keep sharing meaningful content like this. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.